Section 118. Janamejaya said, O utterer of Brahma, thou hast recited everything about the extraordinary birth among men of the sons of Dhritarastra in consequence of the Rishi's grace. Thou hast also said what their names are, according to the order of their birth. O Brahmana, I have heard all these from thee. But tell me now all about the Pandavas, while reciting the incarnations on earth of the celestials, the Asuras, and the beings of other classes. Thou saidst that the Pandavas were all illustrious and endued with the prowess of gods, and that they were incarnate portions of the celestials themselves. I desire therefore to hear all about those beings of extraordinary achievements, beginning from the moment of their birth. O Vaisampayana, recite thou their achievements. Vaisampayana said, O king, one day Pandu, while roaming about in the woods on the southern slopes of Himavat, that teemed with deer and wild animals of fierce disposition, saw a large deer that seemed to be the leader of a herd, serving his mate. Beholding the animals, the monarch pierced them both with 5 of his sharp and swift arrows, winged with golden feathers. O monarch, that was no deer that Pandu struck at, but a rishi's son of great ascetic merit, who was enjoying his mate in the form of a deer. Pierced by Pandu, while engaged in the act of intercourse, he fell down to the ground, uttering cries that were of a man, and began to weep bitterly. The deer then addressed Pandu and said, O king, even men that are slaves to lust and wrath, and void of reason, and ever sinful, never commit such a cruel act as this. Individual judgment prevailed not against the ordinance. The ordinance prevailed against individual judgment. The wise never sanction anything discountenanced by the ordinance. Thou art born, O Bharata, in a race that hath ever been virtuous. How is it therefore that even thou, suffering thyself to be overpowered by passion and wrath, losest thy reason? Hearing thus, Pandu replied, O dear, kings behave in the matter of slaying animals of thy species exactly as they do in the matter of slaying foes. It behoveth thee not, therefore, to reprove me thus from ignorance. Animals of thy species are slain by open or covert means. This indeed is the practice of kings. Then why dost thou reprove me? Formerly the Rishi Agastya, while engaged in the performance of a grand sacrifice, chased the deer and devoted every deer in the forest unto the gods in general. Thou hast been slain pursuant to the usage sanctioned by such precedent. Wherefore reprovest us they? For his especial sacrifices, Agastya performed the Homa with fat of the deer. The deer then said, O king, men do not let fly their arrows at their enemies when the latter are unprepared, but there is a time for doing it, viz. After declaration of hostilities. Slaughter at such a time is not censurable. Pandu replied, It is well known that men slay deer by various effective means, without regarding whether the animals are careful or careless. Therefore, O dear, why dost thou reprove me? The deer then said, O king, I did not blame thee for thy having killed a deer, or for the injury thou hast done to me, but instead of acting so cruelly, thou shouldst have waited till the completion of my act of intercourse. What man of wisdom and virtue is there that can kill a deer while engaged in such an act? The time of sexual intercourse is agreeable to every creature and productive of good to all. O King, with this my mate and I was engaged in the gratification of my sexual desire, but that effort of mine had been rendered futile by thee, O King of the Kurus, as thou art born in the race of the Pauravas, ever noted for white virtuous deeds, such an act had scarcely been worthy of thee. O Bharata, this act must be regarded as extremely cruel, deserving of universal execration, infamous and sinful, and certainly leading to hell. Thou art acquainted with the pleasures of sexual intercourse. Thou art acquainted also with the teaching of morality and the dictates of duty. Like unto a celestial hast thou art. It behoveth thee not to do such an act as leadeth to hell. O best of kings, thy duty is to chastise all who act cruelly, who are engaged in sinful practices, and who have thrown to the winds religion, profit, and pleasure, as explained in the scriptures. What hast thou done, O best of men, in killing me who have given thee no offense? I am, O King, a Muni, who lived on fruits and roots. Thou disguised as a deer. I was living in woods in peace with all. Thou hast killed me yet, O King, for which I will curse thee, certainly, as thou hast been cruel unto a couple of opposite sexes. Death shall certainly overtake thee as soon as thou feelst the influence of sexual desire. I am a Muni of name of Kimindama, possessed of ascetic merit. I was engaged in sexual intercourse with this deer, because my feelings of modesty did not permit me to indulge in such an act in human society. In the form of a deer, I rove in the deep woods in the company of other deer. Thou hast slain me without knowing that I am a Brahmana. The sin of having slain a Brahmana shall not, therefore, be thine, but senseless man, as you have killed me disguised as a deer, at such a time, thy fate shall certainly be even like mine. When approaching thy wife lustfully, thou wilt unite with her even as I had done with mine. In that very state shalt thou have to go to the world of spirits, and that wife of thine with whom thou mayest be united in intercourse at the time of thy death shall also follow thee with affection and reverence to the domains of the king of the dead, which no one can avert. Thou hast brought me grief while I was happy. So shall grief come to thee while thou art in happiness. Vaisampayana continued. Saying this, that deer, afflicted with grief, gave up ghost, and Pandu also was plunged in woe at the sight. Thus ends the 118th section in the Sambhava Parva of the Adi Parva.